Lord, we've sinned against thee, worked and schemed against thee. Now you're free to punish us.
Larry Ackerman, would you like to come forward, and then someone from the Parks and Planning Agency, and then we'll go to staff.
Good evening. Are you going to talk first, Pete?
Floor. Before you, Larry Ackerman. He's with the Residential Owners Association, Northwest Landing. I'll frame it a little bit and I'll turn it over to him as quickly as I can. The ROA has approached the city with a proposal to donate the construction of a stage at Clocktower Park. I'll let him go back into some of the details of why we want to look at this, but essentially both the city and the ROA have several events that require stages, and this would try to solve some of that issue annually as far as an ongoing rental cost and storage cost if we were to purchase it and all of those types of things. We have put together an exhibit that I'll see if the city clerk can go ahead and put up that provides a little bit of a representation of where and what it might look like. It is rudimentary. We wanted to make sure this evening that we had council's thumbs up to be able to move forward in this process before full permit submittals and things go forward with that. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Larry Ackerman.
Thank you. Thank you. As you know, one of the responsibilities of the Homeowners Association is to provide events for the community. Every year we spend somewhere in the neighborhood of $12,000 to rent stages, and I know the city also spends probably $4,000 to $6,000 to rent stages. We've wanted to build a permanent stage for a long time, but the ROA doesn't own suitable property, and we also looked at doing a temporary stage, but we run into problems with storage and also with putting it up and taking it down all the time. This year, our board of directors has authorized an expenditure to build a permanent facility that they would like to build at Clocktower Park in exchange, and then give it to the city. It would become a city facility, and the ROA would just have use of that going forward. So it's an opportunity to generate income on the cities if other people want to use the facility. We've tried to look forward and address your concerns before you have them. I've talked to several people. One was ongoing maintenance. I have talked to one of the local service agencies who has indicated that they would like to adopt it as a project for the city. Then they would provide the ongoing maintenance, which would be fairly limited. It's going to be a concrete-based structure with pressure-treated wood and a metal roof. So it's being designed professionally to be as low cost maintenance as possible. So it might require some annual pressure washing and some touch-up paint and things of that nature, but nothing really overwhelming. One of the other concerns that we had was that the power sources at the clock tower that exist today are substandard. We have met with an electrician, and they're going to be able to pull in a dedicated line to the stage. So although it's not going to address the city's ongoing power issues, it is going to provide, we will be able to provide electricity at the stage that will be brand new, up to code, and working well. The other thing that's critical is a timeline. We want this built by the 4th of July, and we love our military event, which puts us on a fairly short timeline. If it doesn't get built this year, there is a likelihood that it won't get built. Those funds are not always going to be available, and I'm sure you folks understand how that goes. But the funds have been dedicated this year by the Board of Directors to do this project. I've met independently with Peter and Bill Anderson and Scott Hine. We've walked the site. We think we've got something that's going to work, and we're looking here tonight for support from the council to move this project forward as quickly as we can. Any questions?
Mr. Ackerman, can we also hear from the Parks and Recreation Agency?
Good evening, Council. The ROA gave us a briefing on this project, and they met and exceeded all of our concerns and questions that we anticipated we would bring to you. So we fully support this and endorse it to move forward with the council.
Thank you. Council comments for Mr. Ackerman, Maurice, or Mr. Zahn? Councilmember Westman, then Coffey.
Yes. Peter, is this a neighborhood park or a community park?
That's a question I didn't anticipate. So good job on that. I would believe that this is a neighborhood park. It was originally constructed, I believe, by quadrant for ROA purposes, was later dedicated to the city. Through that, I would have to look up the specific answer because that does have a kind of a meaning in our code.
Yes, it does. If it is, in fact, a neighborhood park, then we are somewhat changing the character of that park into a community outside cultural event location by putting in a permanent structure. Not that I'm opposed to the structure, but I'm sensitive to the intent of neighborhood parks were to serve the neighborhood and more particularly Bay Colony and some of the units within that area, providing the normal space and so on for neighborhood type activities. I am concerned about changing that nature in the sense that we are moving more towards the overall community and the change in the use. Now, undoubtedly, there's going to be an increase usage with this facility. And to what extent the surrounding neighbors and families and so on are going to be affected by that, the impact of that increased usage is kind of in question as far as my perception.
And the only response that I would have to that is that the park is currently being used for the purposes that you described. Annually, it's used for events such as the 4th of July. I believe it's been used in safety fairs in the past. It's been used for a variety of community and regional draw events. Was previously planned to do so for this year. It is also one of the few parks that we have that has some parking available to it. So from the character and use standpoint that you're concerned about it, it kind of already functions as a community park, you know, in that sense. It is not the size or certainly the upfront design that DuPont Powder Works Park had as kind of the large, you know, labeled community park, but it certainly does function in that purpose and has, to my understanding, since it was constructed.
Councilmember Westman brought up a good point of what does the Bay Colony residents think about this? And as we move on to Councilmember Coffey's comments, there are some Bay Colony residents in the audience, and if they wish to comment on this, they're more than welcome to comment on this item if they want to come up. Don't feel pressured, but if you would like to come up and comment, you can. Councilmember Coffey?